it was about 10 years ago when I was visiting my son in LA, we decided to go to the movies. I pulled out my AARP card to purchase my ticket. My son looked at me and said, "You're old now?" I couldn't believe it. For a long time every morning, I had been looking in the mirror every morning saying, "Oh my goodness, I look like my mother." What does that mean? Am I old? At that time, what I'd say when I heard the word old is different from what I'd say today. If we did a word association with the word old or aging, right now, what would we hear people say? Annoying, crotchety, forgetful, confused, slow, an old crow. Maybe a few adjectives like cute and lovable. Did you know there's an entire industry dedicated to aging? In North America, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Globally, it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry known as the anti-aging industry. I think the industry has two meanings. One is to turn back the clock and pretend we're not aging, and if that's the case, I dismiss it wholeheartedly. I think industries like age steaks, fine wines, and antique cars would also dismiss it because each of them increase in value as they age. I'll get to the second meaning in a moment. In my younger years, I wouldn't have answered yes if asked, "Are you aging?" I probably would have answered yes to the question, "Are you getting older?" If I ask who here is aging, many people might not raise their hand, especially if they're under the age of 40. But if I ask who here is getting older, many more people might raise their hand. The facts are, as we're getting older, we're also aging. The issue is that getting older is often viewed as maturing with the passage of time. Aging, on the other hand, is often associated with a breakdown of our minds and bodies. There's no denying the aging effects in time in our bodies, which happens a lot sooner than most people realize. Experts suggest the normal aging process begins at about the age of 25, when the body manufactures less collagen, causing the skin to lose elasticity. As it continues, try as we might, there's no escaping it. It's the law of gravity. There's a downward slide. It's happened to me. Can anybody else relate to that? Now to the root of the word old and older, which to me takes on different meaning at different stages. When you ask a small child, "How old are you?" and they struggle to hold up their cute little fingers, they're so proud. Then 9-year-olds can't wait to become 10 years old because they're double digits. And 12-year-olds are thrilled to become 13 because they're a teenager. These are important milestones. At 20 years old, you become 21, finally your legal drinking age. At 30 years old, you're an adult. That landmark used to be called over the hill. Then you march towards 40 and 50 years old. Oh, middle age. I love this term. You're a mature adult. But now you're 60 and 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, heck, 90 years old. The word old isn't so much fun anymore because you're not this much. At this stage, the word definitely takes on negative stereotypes. Is that why the cosmetic industry plays such a large part of the anti-aging industry? We're supposed to look as if we're not aging in order to defy the negative stereotypes associated with our age, for society and for ourselves. Personally, it's not my goal to look 40 when I'm 80. How would anyone know the wisdom I have to share if I look like I've only lived 4 decades instead of 8? In the United States, people at the upper end of their older years into their 70s, 80s, and 90s are getting a bad rap. In other societies, countries, and cultures, older people are valued and respected. They are an important part of the community and the family. For example, in Japan, since 1966, the third Monday in September is a national holiday for valuing older adults. It's called Respect for Aged Day to celebrate centenarians. It originally started to thank the eldest in the community for their contributions to society and to learn from them and their experiences. Now to the second meaning of the anti-aging industry. If it's about changing our perception of older people and the negative stereotypes about aging, I'm all for it, because ultimately, society's attitudes towards older people affects how we feel about ourselves as we get older. But attempts to change the messaging remains conflicted. Here's what I mean. Have you seen commercials with older adults who say they take an over-the-counter drug to keep up with younger folks? It sends the message they're becoming more forgetful, less capable, less energetic. Which part of the anti-aging industry does this represent? To me, it reinforces negative stereotypes about older people. But what would you think seeing those commercials? In our food and in our life, we need a little spice, a little flavor. A little spice is oh so nice, and that's what older adults bring to the table. And now there are more and more of us. In the United States, there are 100 million people over the age of 50 and 10,000 people every day turning 65. According to the US Census Bureau, by the year 2030, the number of people over the age of 65 will outnumber those under the age of 18. A wise person once told me, when you want to learn something new, do or achieve something, don't ask someone who's never done it before. You likely only get opinions, criticisms, or reasons you shouldn't do it at all. Instead, seek wise counsel, a person who has walked that path, who has made the mistakes, and knows the pitfalls. If that's the case, isn't that what older adults bring to the table? I think if there's a difference between old and aging, it may be described in this way. Aging is the state of our body. Old is our state of mind. It can be said that old is not measured in the number of years lived, but in the giving up of dreams, desires, goals, passions, and purpose. Years may wrinkle the skin, but giving up on life in this way can wrinkle the soul. We can learn much about the possibilities for unprecedented fulfillment and success at any age from my friend Werner Berger, the oldest North American to have climbed the highest summits on each of the 7 continents. We are the ship in our life's journey. Our body is our vessel. It is our attitude that is the driving force steering our ship. And this attitude can begin from the time we are young. What if we think older people have been all of us from the time we're children, and we are all of them? That it's an active process that lives inside of us, a stage we're striving to reach. Just as we strive to become a senior in high school, a senior in college, a senior partner at a firm, have seniority at a job, or climb the highest summits like Mount Everest or Mount Kilimanjaro. If we can see it in this way, it may move the needle on how society views older adults, but it may also change how we see ourselves as we get older and respond to the question, how old are you? If you are an evolving elder, how would you feel knowing you finally reached your wisdom years, the age you've been striving for your entire life? Given the options, I would rather age than not. What about you? If you're an evolving elder, this has been an active process that lived inside of you from the time you're a child. So I leave you with this question. What are your age beliefs? Do you want to be just old now, a senior citizen, an old crow? Or do you want to be an evolving elder? I hope the answer is an evolving elder. I'm Phyllis Ayman. I am a proud evolving elder.